Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Corey Johnson, and welcome to Relationship Management. Today's topic is going to be about my court hearing. The song that you're hearing in the background is from a friend of mine. Her name is Ann Burstein, and the name of her group is Dream Area. She's a great singer. She has a great band. So check out her music and look her up. Buy her CD. She got lots of them. She's really incredible and an amazing person. Okay, I'm going to be letting you guys know all over the world what happened with my court case pertaining to my children, how I lost my kids. And this is Attention President Donald Trump. This message is for President Donald Trump to listen to. And I'm requesting that after you listen to this, that you will open up a scrutiny investigation against these rogue judges that has illegally taken my children away from me. Before I start from the beginning, I'm going to give some quick clarification that the FBI up in court, he was saying that it was hard for him to understand what I was saying. You know what I mean? Because back then, when I had went to his office and spoken to him, my voice was low and light like Michael Jackson. You can barely comprehend. He was saying in the court that he could barely, it's another term that he used. He can barely make out what I was saying. Like, if I, for instance, I had a different situation where people misconstrued my words. The FBI thought I said something else when I didn't say something else. I said this way, you understand? But he thought I said a different way, same way with a doctor. A doctor at a different time thought that I said that I wanted to kill myself and that somebody named Devilish told me to kill myself and I'm going to listen to the devil. Understand? But I didn't say that. I told doctor several times I am not suicidal. I've never ever think that way of killing myself or nobody. You understand? So what happened, the doctor had called Project Responding and the police. And the police put me in the handcuffs and had it on my pinched nerves on my wrist. And he was going all fast and turning curves fast. And whenever I go to the side, the handcuff would go into my nerve more. So by the time he got me to the hospital, he took me to the hospital to get hospitalized. They got a judge's order, a court order. What happened when he took the cuffs off, before I sat down, it felt like I was about to fall and collapse on the floor because he had it on a pinched nerve so hard, understand? So he had caught me from falling. So what happened, I was hospitalized in a mental institution, you understand, for like 3 days, and then I was released. They had contact my wife when my wife was alive, and she said, let him come home, you understand? And they had released me 3 days later. But when I was up in there, they was giving me injections against my will. Understand? They kept on, like they gave me a pill in my mouth, and they was on my tongue, and they kept on giving me injections, keeping me asleep. Throughout the time I was there and stuff like that. And they had me to take some classes there and stuff. Understand? But I was falsely accused, and I was set up. Understand? My words got misconstrued, just like up in court. My words got misconstrued. I was trying to win my children up in court, and I wanted the judge to let my children come home to me, understand, after the grandparent right. Understand what I'm saying? That the court had given my ex-mother-in-law grandparent right. Understand? My wife had passed away from cancer in 2014. Understand? The cancer had came back, all right? In 2011, she had finally told me that she had the cancer. You understand what I'm saying? So I took her to the mental, I took her to the, what's the name of this place? The chemotherapy place a lot. You know what I mean? And they did a lot of chemotherapy on her and stuff like that. And whenever she had started getting well and stuff, like in 2012, she violated the court order, you know, because the courts in Oregon had given me sole and physical custody. You understand what I'm saying? And they had put her on child support. And whenever the child support money had came in, you know what I mean? What happened, I had gave it back to her. You know what I mean? Because when she had moved out the house, I let her move back in. Understand what I'm saying? After I had kicked that crazy Pocahontas woman out. Understand what I'm saying? When I had kicked that was the first time I had kicked the Pocahontas woman out. Then I had, you know, let my ex-wife come back in and the kids. She told me that she had cancer. You understand what I'm saying? So I've been taking her backwards and forward. You know, since she lost all her hair, I was feeding her on her dying bed and stuff. So in 2012, when she started getting well, I had to put cameras in her house. You know, after, you know, several times I would wake up out of a sleep. You understand? Hearing the children cry. I was taking, you know, some medication, mental medication that, you know, I had insomnia overnight, so I would sleep through the day, but during the day, she would like go bam and punch the door, wake me up, you understand, or hit the wall, you know what I mean? In the next room she was sleeping in, you know. And when I investigated it, I know, you know, when I woke up and I looked in her closet and they had a big old hole in the wall, like a hammer, like she hit a hammer to try to make the medicines work against me. You understand what I'm saying? You know? Jordan was hollering and screaming, you know what I'm saying, when he was a baby. He was like about, I think he was like 3 or 4 if I'm not mistaken. And I went downstairs, and what happened is, I see while he's howling and screaming, and then my ex-wife, you know what I mean, had told me that he accidentally burnt his hand on the stove. So I had brought him upstairs, you understand, and I had took out my cell phone. I didn't have any cameras in the house at that time. I took out the cell phone and I recorded him. And he told me that mommy was hurting him. He said that he was trying to move himself. He said, I was trying to move myself, and you know what I mean? She was hurting me, you understand what I'm saying? And burnt my bobo, you know how children talk, you understand? So, what happened, when to speed things up, she waved at the camera when I put the cameras in the house. She waved at the camera and she dived on that big section sofa that I had just bought, and she broke the legs off, and I told her she had to get out and leave. You understand? She said, okay, since I got to leave, it's my turn to watch the kids. You know what I mean? So I let her go and take the kids. Now the court on her rule that she got to come every 2 weeks to see the kids, and she got to take the kids for the weekend and bring them back. But when she took the kids, she didn't bring the kids back. Understand? So what happened? Had to contact the police. Police told me to contact missing children exploitation and to go to the court and get an order of assistance. They found out quickly that my children was in New Orleans. And then the head chief FBI police agent had told me that my ex-wife had filed, my ex-wife and my ex-mother-in-law had filed a police report and say that she fled because I was abusing her and the children. Understand? So that was false allegations and false accusations. Understand? So that same year, some months later, an investigator was appointed to me, the police, and I had showed him, the video of my son, saying that his mama had burnt his hand and stuff. And the police told me I'm on my way. I'm gonna speak with my boss, and after I speak with my boss, I'm gonna go to a DA, which is called a district attorney. And he said that he's gonna put out an attachment for arrest, and he said that I'm gonna have your children back home very quickly. Next thing you know, the officer called me. Sounded like he was crying. He said he spoke with his boss, and his boss said he wanted him off the case, and that I'm gonna be assigned a new investigator. Understand? So what happened? I had went down there. I saved up money and stuff, and the cancer was out. They took the cancer out in surgery. Surgically removed the cancer. She had to do a hysterectomy. They removed everything successfully. Took the cancer out here in Oregon. Understand? But whenever she took my kids, her mother had that influence and make her always take my children away. Ever since we've been married, she would take my kids, be gone like 2 to 3 weeks at a time. I didn't bring them home. You understand what I'm saying? So what happened, when I finally had saved up, because the cancer had came back and grew all over her brain, her mother said. So in 2014, she died. And then so I was able to save up, you understand? And when I saved up, I was able to go to New Orleans. And the order of assistance had give the sheriff department power. So me and my mother followed the sheriff to my ex-mother-in-law's house, but it was vacant. That means she moved. So we had found out another way to go about doing it. So the order of assistance was upgraded, you understand, to my ex-mother-in-law had to bring the children to the school since she was the next of kin since my ex-wife had passed away. So I had got full custody of the kids in the courthouse. I was just, my mother was taking in stuff like that every morning to go handle business. So what happened, we went, after I had the full custody, me and my mother had followed the sheriff to the children's school. And the sheriff had asked my mother-in-law to bring the kids to school. You understand? Because I now have full custody. You understand? So, ex-mother-in-law came to the school, and what happened, she did not have my children with her. She had a lawyer, and she was being argumentative with the sheriff and saying that I am not giving these kids back to him. And saying, and she had showed her a court order, you understand, that was expired. It was like a restraining order she put on me. And he was like, the sheriff was like, she got a challenging court order, you understand what I'm saying? But that was expired, you understand? And so the sheriff says she's refusing to comply. She don't want to give the kids, you know what I'm saying? And I told the sheriff, well then, that's kidnapping. I want to press full charges on her. And the sheriff was like, come on, man, it don't have to be that way. And he never did it. Now what the sheriff when the sheriff didn't do what I asked, he violated my civil rights. You understand? Because whenever, she kidnapped my kids and refused to comply with the sheriff, that turned to criminal. The moment I told that sheriff in New Orleans, I want you to arrest her. I want to arrest her for kidnapping. He was supposed to call the police. And the police were supposed to come and they would have put her up in jail for kidnapping in the first and the second degree. And if she would have went to jail, if that sheriff wouldn't have violated my civil rights, and if he would have called the police, she would have went to jail, and I could have sued her I would have been able to sue her then for custodial interference in the first and the second degree. You understand? Plus, no lawyer wouldn't have took the case up in Oregon if she would have went to jail. Understand? So, what happened after that, I was so distraught and so tired, I couldn't think straight to call the police myself. Because I thought that since the sheriff, I didn't really know all the laws and how the rules are. You know what I mean? I thought that, the sheriff was police, you too, because they have handcuffs and the kapow. You understand what I'm saying? But, there's a tricky rule where you just got to know the laws. You know what I'm saying? If I would have known back then, I would have called the police. You understand what I'm saying? But I didn't. I didn't know. So the next day we went to court. And then my ex-mother-in-law lawyer, they were trying to make me look stupid and say that he abused the kids, he got brain damage, he got mental disorder and stuff like that. And I was like, objection, Your Honor. I said, that's irrelevant to the fact. The judge in Portland, Oregon gave me an order of assistance to adopt it up in New Orleans Civil District Court. That's what I did, and I'm here today to get my kids. And the judge was like shocked, like, wow. Her mouth was wide open, and she was shocked. She looked at me as though I was a diamond or something or a star. She was like, huh? And the heck did you know all the right words to say? Next thing you know, the judge just took over and had told my ex-mother-in-law, I spoken to the judge, up in Portland, and the judge wants the children to come home with his dad. You understand what I'm saying? And I agreed, and I'm about to sign this. And she was still being argumentative, trying to, talk the judge into changing her mind. And the judge had to tell her lawyer, you need to shut your client up. You understand what I'm saying? And she just went and finished talking, you know what I mean? And told her, if you want to do anything else legal, you're going to have to go up there, you know what I mean, in Oregon and do some filing. But the kid's going home. And she had, the judge had told me, Mr. Johnson, you're going to have to wait until the kids get out of school. And then come get them at the school whenever the summer break comes. So what happened, that was May 22nd, 2015. I went, me and the sheriff went. We was up in the sheriff van. We went there. The sheriff told me, whatever you do, don't let us serve you. So what happened, when we got there, they had this lady I'd never seen before give me some papers, and I took them. I thought that was one of the teachers, one of the children teachers, or one of the counselors that gave me the children the transcripts, but it wasn't. It was one of my ex-mother-in-law friends, or one of her relatives I never saw before. So I didn't know I was getting served. I really didn't. So I got it, and it said that my ex-mother-in-law had hired a lawyer in Portland, Oregon. So when we left, the sheriff had took me and the kids to the courthouse, and I had to call my mother. My mother had to come. About an hour drive. Finally, she got there, picked us up, brought us to our house, and we stayed there for maybe 2 to 3 weeks. You understand? Then I believe it was Red Cross or the Missing Exploitation. One of them had paid for our ticket, me and the kids' tickets to get back home. So when we made it home, I had to go to court. What would happen when I was still up in Louisiana? My ex-mother-in-law had asked could she have my email address so she can send pictures of the children and stuff like that when we graduated and stuff like that. And my mama was trying to tell me, don't do that. You shouldn't have given it nothing. You know, the sheriff was like, disappear. Just disappear, man. When you get your kids, don't just disappear. You know what I'm saying? So I want us to have the heart of Christ, of Jesus Christ, and some mercy for a possible way that they can still be in contact with their grandmother. So I give my email address. The next thing you know, our lawyer contact my email address and you've been served. Now, up in Oregon laws, lawyer can serve you through your email. Next thing you know, I got sheriff knocking at my door. Ever since I had my kids, I couldn't even enjoy my children right. Because I always had to focus on court. I couldn't afford no lawyer. I was able to get a nice big expedition, a white expedition, for my kids when I first got them. And I had plans to buy us a home, but I couldn't because ex-mother-in-law kept on bothering me and I couldn't focus right on saving money for a home and down payment or nothing because I always had to spend it on court. Court fees, I had to always, file, and I had to pay for that to file. I had to file several times, it was like $250 to file, you know what I mean? Like answers to an ex-mother-in-law, ridiculous accusations and stuff like that. Answers, I had to file objections, you understand? And motions and stuff like that. So the first time I went to court, the judge had told her that the children goes to the father whenever their mother died. And the mother-in-law was like, well, my daughter said this and this and that when she was alive, and the judge said that's a hearsay, so that can count. So the judge shut her down several times. Next, because she wanted to intervene. She came up with her harassment and intervened. So she lost that case. Understand? And I had a lot of evidence to show a lot of things, bad things that, the children's mother has done. You understand what I'm saying? Because I was telling the judge, if you allow my ex-mother-in-law to continue this harassment, if I have to go to court, I'm going to have to show a lot of bad things that my ex-wife has done, and that's going to make her roll up in her grave. You understand? But the thing was, the judge was like, do you have anything you want to show me? After I won the case, after the judge went to talking, and she just said everything right, and ruled in my favor, everything, and just shut her down. She said, is there anything you want to show me? And I didn't show her. You want to know why I didn't show her? Because my mother told me if you ever up in court, and if you know that you got a 100% win, don't open your mouth or don't go to showing other evidence or nothing, because that can work against you. You understand what I'm saying? So I didn't show anything. I'm going to give you an example. One time I had went to court for a different situation about my firearm. Because, I had went to classes and stuff, and I had passed the classes for my firearm and stuff like that, for my permit and stuff like that. And some kind of way they stopped it. But I had to go to court for it, and up in the court, the answer was up in my favor. And the judge was about to give me my permit. And I went to go to talking. Next thing you know, It worked against me because my mouth overloaded my ass. I should have just shut up, you understand? So I learned my lesson from that, you understand? So this time, you know what I mean, I didn't say nothing, you understand? So I won that round, you know? Next thing you know, we had to go to court again, you understand? Because ex-mother-in-law had the FBI to investigate me, and she was trying to put me in jail and take my kids away permanently. Understand? So the FBI investigated, and the court had appointed the first attorney. You understand? And had appointed the first child protection. So to speed things up, the court-appointed attorney had told the judge he don't want my kids going down there. It's not the best interest of the kids. Understand? And after that, the judge say, Mr. Judge, you have anything you want to say? I should have said no. But I went to talking. My mouth overload my ass, in my opinion, on why I feel like my kids shouldn't go down there. And my ex-mother-in-law attorney said that's not the best interest of the kids. You're trying to keep the kids from the grandparents. So the judge rebutted against what the lawyer said. See, I should have just shut the fuck up. That's why the Bible says you got to hold your peace and let the law fight your battle. They had this lawyer, the court appointed the lawyer out, do all the talking. The courts respect the lawyer, not me. You understand what I'm saying? I should have just said, no, Your Honor, I have no questions. I'm going to agree with what the lawyer just said. I should have just said that and just shut the fuck up, but I didn't. So me let my mouth overload my ass, guess what? She got grandparent rights and the kids was able to go down there. I'm saying? But the investigation with the FBI was saying that it's hard to figure out what he be saying. You understand? Because his voice is low and stuff. It's hard to comprehend or connect with exactly what he's saying. Like I said, back then I had that low Michael Jackson voice and you couldn't really comprehend. But to speed things up, the FBI found me unfounded. Understand? And the child protection found me unfounded. Understand? So after that, I had filed a motion for contempt of court. You understand what I'm saying? And the judge had, the reason why I filed for contempt of court because my ex-mother-in-law, when I got to examine her, she had admitted that she didn't comply with the cops that she didn't comply with the sheriff when the sheriff showed her that I had full custody now. So after that, I filed for contempt of court, to hold her for contempt because she went against, the judge's court order to get the sheriff my kid. That's an order of assistance. So the judge say no. The judge played me and say no. I'm not going to allow this. She denied the contempt of court. So she violated my civil rights when I was in the right. And she said that, her order was going towards your wife. You understand? Not Ellison. Common sense ought to tell her that I upgraded the order of assistance to the next of kin. That's why she had to bring the kids to the school. What the court had played me. And now I understand what President Trump is saying about the rogue judges. And I understand now why President Trump is putting a lot of judges in jail because they're doing fucked up shit like this. So what happened, the judge had really scared me up in court. She was saying that, you had called the court after hours, over 12 midnight, cursing and stuff like that, like you crazy, like you on drugs or something, hollering and screaming. I saw that wasn't me. And she said, what are you calling me a liar, Mr. Johnson? She was trying to intimidate me and scare me. And she was talking like, she was looking like she was going to put me in jail for nothing. And I'm scared that I'm set up, that they trying to set me up. Because I know that wasn't me. And she scared the fuck out of me so bad. Next thing you know, my ex-mother-in-law, it was crazy. I had to go to court a lot, understand? So this might be a different type of a court hearing, but up in this type of a court hearing, what happened, I had to let my kids go to the grandparent right that year. I believe it was 2016. So when my kids came back, my daughter was acting funny. She was smacking herself in the face and beating herself up in the face. And she would take her baby doll and take the clothes off all of the baby dolls. And she'll break the neck. She'd put a big hole. She'd go in the kitchen, get a knife and put a big hole in a pillow up in her bed and up in my sofa. She took my my Blu-ray disc and broke the door off it. You know, she was doing a lot of crazy, weird stuff. So I had to talk with her, you know, ask her what was wrong. She finally confided in me in 2017 and she was open. She told me that her brother had hurt her bad down there and she would point to her vagina. Or she would say her brother did bad things to her down there. You know. So what happened, I had let the police know, now when she see her brother, I'm talking about my ex-stepson. At that time, he was like up in his 20s or something, So that let me know that happened when she went down there on the grandparents' visit. Understand? Now, I'm going to go a little back a little bit because, there's some things that I have missed. When me and my children had made it to my mother's house, when she came and picked us up from the courthouse, remember I was telling you that? When my mother took my daughter Beth, she noticed that she had a lot of hair down there. And she said, Corey, that looks odd. It looked like somebody could have touched her. I found her with her down there, And now my son Corey Jr., he was saying, fuck you, Dad, fuck Dad. He was saying something like that. So that means, because he had autism, and he suffered with like a retardism. He goes on the handicap, special aid type of school. And my mother felt like my ex-mother-in-law used to always say that to my kid whenever he said, where my daddy? And my mother felt like my ex-mother-in-law was saying, fuck your daddy. You know what I'm saying? And that's right after, I had won them and got them back. So I'm sorry that I didn't think to go get my daughter tested. You understand? To see was her hymen broken. Whenever my mother told me that. I didn't know. It would have been nice if my mother could have said, Corey, let's go and get her checked to see if her hymen was broken. I would have took my mother's advice and did it. Understand? And then whenever we got home, like in the morning time, whenever I be combing my daughter's hair, you know what I mean? Whenever we had made it to Oregon, you know what I'm saying? And after I registered them up in school and stuff like that and got them on health insurance and stuff, in the morning when I be combing her hair, she be crying. And then whenever, I ask her, what's wrong, sweetheart? And she'll call out my ex-stepson name. And I never understood that, you understand? And she did it like 3 different times in the beginning like that. She'll call out his name, and she never told me what he did. And that made me start thinking that he did something bad to her. Now, I'm going to speed it back up. After my daughter had confided in me in 2017, told me he did bad things to her down there, he hurt me bad down there, I contacted the police, sheriff. I got her tested for a sexually transmitted disease. She didn't have any sexually transmitted disease. I didn't even know exactly what to say, the right words to say. You know what I mean? I should have said, I need you to check and see was her version broken. Because of hymen. You understand what I'm saying? So they just did a poke and checked her blood, and they just did that. They didn't check. They didn't do it. So, and I told the court and you understand what happened. The next thing you know, my ex-mother-in-law had told the judge I'm lying and she's retaliating. It's a lot of retaliation because she know that her granddaughter didn't do that. So I recorded my daughter with my cell phone and let my daughter speak in her own words. Then when I showed it to the court, what happened, my ex-mother-in-law attorney told the courts that they coached. So what happened, the judge hired a brand new attorney, a different attorney, and a brand new child protection worker to work against me this time. And they was in cahoots, and they set me up. And they put an immediate danger on me. Understand? And they took my kids away and say that I brain damaged my kids and that I made my kids lie on their sibling and say that the video looked coached. And I've been through all of the protocol and all of the rules. I allow my daughter to go to Cares Northwest, like the sheriff say, when they speak to a child, you understand, alone, before they make an arrest. And I read the report, and my daughter, the pages was very thick, and she had to draw a picture of her body. And they say, point where your brother hurt you, and had a hand point to the vagina. And she said a lot of things that he did to her, all through that report, bad things, and a lot of things that she didn't even told me. And she didn't tell me everything, but I was really shocked. Understand? So they had a report there. So now they had an option to just go by what my daughter say, or just go by what I say. So what they decide to do is to throw my daughter's cry and her report under the bus and focus and concentrate on what I did with my cell phone. And they say that you brain damaged the kids. And the judge allowed my ex-mother-in-law to be in cahoots with the second appointed court attorney to put immediate danger on me instead of putting it on my ex-stepson. I remember when I was up in court, I had all evidence on the CD, you understand? And that the one that sexually abused my daughter, the one my daughter told me about, you understand? He had all on this page. He had a naked little boy, you understand? He was turned around and his butt was showing. He was naked. And he had pictures of himself with his bang dong hanging out his pants halfway, and had, pictures of ladies' vaginas and pictures of people having sex all on his page. The courts knew all that I was saying. You understand? And then when I tried to give the judge the CD with all the evidence, the judge did not accept it. The judge just got stupid on me and told my ex-mother-in-law. Ex-mother-in-law was in New Orleans and attended court by phone. And the judge was like, I am not going to look at none of the evidence that Mr. Johnson got, okay? And my ex-mother-in-law was like, so, okay, I'm not going to let you know I didn't see anything, and I'm not going to look at nothing. Now, why the fuck she won't want to look at my evidence? I don't sound right, huh, y'all? Now, I really understand what President Trump mean by rogue judges. And I bagged the second appointed court attorney, understand, to give the CD to the judge, but he didn't do it. He just looked at me like, like I was stupid. I guess he was wishing that I put $500 in his hand. He might have would have did it then, but I didn't have that. I wanted to do that. The only thing the second appointed attorney told the judge that, a lot of things that my ex done say he's very disrespectful towards his dad, and he looked on his page and saw all the nakedness that's going on and stuff like that and everything. And the next thing you know, I was set up, back in the earlier time, the judge told me when the kids make 18, her ruling will not go towards them. Now, after my son Corey made 18, the judge made me get his license and gave it to my ex-mother-in-law. In 2017, the last day I ever saw my children, while they were still children. I never saw them anymore after that. And the judge breached their own contract and took Corey away too, even though he was 18. So the courts asked her, do you want child support? And she said no. The appointed court attorney said no. She's going to survive off of the kids' disability money. Corey and Yashina received disabilities because he got autism, and plus they had his mother survived their benefits. Understand? So ever since I had the kids, I couldn't enjoy them. It was crazy. It was really crazy. I couldn't enjoy them like I really wanted because I always had to go to court. I had to work. I had to be up overnight typing in emotions and the answers and all kinds of court documents in certain format, you know what I mean? Then go to court, And whenever I had went to court, the second appointed child protection worker had told the judge that if you give Mr. Johnson his kids and let the children come home, we're going to be waiting at them at the airport and we're going to put them in state custody. You understand? Now, what I had told the judge after that, I say, why would you want to, don't let her put my kids up in the home. That's not the best interest of the children to do that. You're supposed to let the children come home, not put them in state custody of the homes. Now, they lied on me and say that I want my kids to go up in the homes. And then my ex-girlfriend in Israel is writing letters to people and stuff saying that I told the courts I want my kids to go in the home if they don't listen. That don't make any sense, huh? Why would I go to court to fight for my children and then tell them I'm going to put them up in the home? That don't make no motherfucking sense. So the court motherfucking lied on me. You understand? And I was so scared that the judge would set me up and trying to put me in jail when a children's second appointed attorney was giving a judge the FBI report. I thought I was about to go to jail. So the judge said that, do you object? And I said no. So she took it. I did not change my mind. Like 11 seconds later, I said, yeah, I'm going to object. Now, before I said that, you know what I'm saying, whenever I say no objection at first, the judge was holding and looking at me with her teeth, you know what I mean? And she was looking at me like, it scared me. You know what I'm saying? It scared me and I was intimidated and they would set me up. So I went ahead and remembered and I changed my mind. I said, so she gave the paper back. She gave the report back. Now, after that, I finally read the report. And the report had said the FBI did a full investigation and found me unfounded all the way through. And I still have that. All that is up in the records. You understand? So, you know, I was so depressed and had anxiety, and this really fucked me up mentally. You know what I mean? So they misconstrued my words. You know? Because I told the court, no, the children's supposed to come home, not in the homes. So my words was misconstrued, or they just lied on my ass. You understand what I'm saying? Why the fuck would I go to court? I'm going to court to fucking win. I'm not going to say nothing stupid like that. Why the fuck would I say I want my children up in the homes? That's fucking dumb fucking bullshit. You know, so I was set up all kind of ways. All through the court, you know what I mean? When my children was taken from me in 2012, I showed you understand? I showed through the emails for all parties who were sending evidence on the emails. I sent a lot of pictures, understand, of my son. You know, Jordan, had Instagram and he had pictures of his Mexicans with 38 guns and stuff like that. You can see the chamber. You can see the bullets in the chamber. The type of people that ex-mother-in-law was letting him hang around. So the police, you know what I mean, had told the judge up here that they don't have no concerns about that. You know what I'm saying? That they don't see any danger. Understand? So what I do know is, ex-mother-in-law have a relative that worked for the NOPD police. Because I met him one time. We went by the relative house. So I know that. And the police down there that was doing the investigation in New Orleans, I wouldn't be shocked if my ex-mother-in-law was real good friends with her. Because they just went ahead and just sabotaged everything. That's why I say President Trump. I'm hoping that President Trump would check this out. I'm hoping that somebody would give this recording to Pamela Bondi, because she have a lot to prove, because she used to be Attorney General, and if she can get this right here, get a lot of people prosecuted, like a lot of these fucking judges, a lot of people that fuck me over with my children, and did me fucking justice, that might get her back up and just, she got a lot to prove. They got a lot of fucking corruption in New Orleans, Louisiana, and fucking Oregon. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. They put a no contact on me. I can call my kids or nothing. I have bought my kids all kind of clothes, all kind of t-shirts, all kind of everything. And I sent it down there to New Orleans, and ex-mother-in-law had told the court that my daughter didn't want it, and she threw it away. You know, my son, handicapped teacher had in Oregon that say that whenever you make 18, you're gonna have to get legal guardianship. So I paid $400 something for that. You know what I'm saying? You had to pay that. So they gave it all. They combined it with the custody hearing, and they gave her all that. They gave my ex-mother-in-law all of that. So she got legal guardianship of both of them. You understand? Even as an adult, she can still remain the legal guardianship while they're up in her custody because they have autism, they're handicapped. So they can't just say, well, I'm an adult now, so we gotta leave your grandmother. No, because she's handicapped, they're retarded. Understand? So I've been fucked by the system very bad. And just like they lied a lot on President Trump, they lied on you a lot, they fucking lied on me. So you know they lie on if they lie on the President of the United States, you know they're gonna fucking lie on your ass too. So this has been a little bit over 52 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, and I rest my